know he was watching.
Yosef, we missed
exactly what time.
That's right.
No, but why wouldn't he watch? If he
Like
he called the second.
He definitely is still watching.
He called the second after the rabbi finished.
Bezrat Hashem. Okay, Yosef, we mamish love you. We should be zoicha to all the brachas of the Torah and Siyata D'Shmaya. And we're going to get into this world here of speaking about resurrection. We're speaking about the soul living forever. We're speaking about a lot of very important points here in the Torah. And Hashem continue to guide us and lead us the ways of Torah and B'siyata D'Shmaya. So let's go inside the Torah with Hashem's help. Let's make some moves. We're speaking about things that we know and things that we don't know. There's certain things that we know, and then there's things that we don't know. Now, what's the idea of something that I know as opposed to something that I don't know? Now, I'm going to provide an interesting take on this. Things that you don't know actually let you know the things that you know. Because if I know something, then I know it goes up until here, it goes up until some place that I don't know. So there's things that I know, and then things that I don't know. There's this that I know it means because I know up until here, ad kan v'suloi, but I don't know that.
Like Aristotle has a quote, or I think it was Socrates, that was, I'm the smartest man alive because I know one thing, and that one thing is I know nothing.
I thought you were going to say the other one, like the more you know, the more you know, the less you know that you don't know. The more you know, the less you know. The more you know, the more you know that you don't know, or something like that.
Yeah, so that's really from the Torah, as we're going to see that in this piece here. It's called Tachlis HaYedir Shaloi Neda, that the greatest knowing is not knowing. Which means the great knowing is that I get to a place where I just start to see how much bigger everything is, which means now I know up until that place. But then I move to a higher realm, which means I now know what I know, but there's things that are, now that I've seen something higher, there's way more. So let's say like this. If somebody would go to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, a blessed memory, when he was giving a class, and this guy has been learning Torah for 5 minutes. So he comes to Reb Chaim and he, sees this great rabbi, and he doesn't really know anything. So he says, I don't really know, who he is. So he actually doesn't know. But what if somebody who's a very close student, and every single day he's going to the classes of Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and he's learning the great secrets that he's teaching him, and he sees how big Reb Chaim really is, so he really knows how much he doesn't know. The guy who just didn't know anything, he just doesn't know. It's that you could know that you don't know. That's something that you notice when you get deeper into Torah learning. You just see how big the yam of Torah. You just see how deep this entire Torah is. It's deep and beyond. And you start realizing there's so much that I don't know. Let's say you never met somebody. You don't know them. And then you actually meet them. And you start talking to them, and you have a DMC. You know what a DMC is? That's right, a deep, meaningful conversation. So now they reveal things about them that are so beautiful, and you realize, I really don't know you. I know more, but I know even more now how much deeper you are than I ever knew. You ever had somebody like that? That you knew them, but you never really talked to them.
So you just assume.
And you just assume there must be some push of the guy.
Right.
Like that guy. And then one day, I don't know, you're both waiting for the elevator at exactly the same time. Okay, you're standing there together, awkward moment, and then there's no reception, you're in the elevator, and then you gotta actually say something.
Yeah. Talk to a person?
I know, we should really try to talk to people, it's very, very important. But you have a moment where you have this feeling of, I'm now learning how much more you are. And there's a depth of who you are. And I had no idea before. But now I'm starting to see really how much I don't know. There's so much about you that I know that I don't know. So this movement in the Torah is the idea of going up to higher levels of makifin, learning about things, higher levels of understanding, and then bringing those understandings down here, and then going higher up to levels of understanding. Let's see this in the words of the Rabbi. And there is a certain great person, which also means the great person inside of you and I. And he is able to receive this very, very high light, called the light of the Keser. This very high light. He gets a crown. So he needs to have something called kol, which is everything. Which is bechinas ki kol b'shamayim va'aretz. Everything in the heavens and the earth. V'targumoy da'ochid b'shmayi va'ara. He's the one that could connect together heaven and earth. So there's something about being a kol person. Being a person that's an everything person. I like to say a well-balanced person. What makes this person so special? What's balance mean? How do you become a well-balanced person? A well-balanced person means I'm connecting heaven and earth. I'm not just a lofty person that lives up there. I'm up there and I'm down here at the same time. So as I'm going up and there's things I realize that I don't know, but I know what I know. And I'm able to live in this world in a very firm way. And this is what's called Hainu Shiyeh Oiches Umekayim Shnei Hayolamas. You're literally holding up heaven and earth. Oilam ha'elyon ve'oilam ha'tachton. Shem b'chinas shemayim va'aretz. I'm able to hold up heaven and earth at the same time. So you know what it means to be balanced? It means I could be a very lofty thinking person, but I'm right here in this world with the chevra. Balanced, speaking, a people person with the people. While at the same time, I don't lose myself in the world down here. I'm always reaching up to higher things and getting high light. So the tzaddik, the biggest person that could do this, he's the one that's all the way up there. And at the same time, he's all the way down here. You could be in both places at the same time. And when we said when somebody passes away from the world, so we said the greatest thing is not that he then goes to higher and higher places of understanding. It's that while he's up there, he had children and students in this world, so he's here at the same time. Which is interesting. It's not he's gone and now, no, he left the building. He's here. He's up there and he's down here all at the same time. It's a very fascinating thing to be up there and down here all at the same time. Ki tzaddik, we'll see a little bit more, then we'll have some questions from the chevra. Ki tzaddik ve'achacham anir la'el hu tzarach sheyeh oiches b'shneim. We're speaking about someone who's a very, very exalted, and really what we're all striving to be, person. So he's able to live in the upper world and the lower world at the same time. If I'm just a lower world person, then I have no vision. I have no vision for something higher. I might be great at fixing an air conditioning unit, but I don't have a vision of where this is, why we need air conditioning units in the world, for real. But if I'm only up there, and I'm only in a world of just seeking a higher connection, so then I might not be able to fix my air conditioning unit when my wife says, can you please fix this for me? Because I'm all busy up there, so it can't be. I need to be both places at the same time. And then the Rebbe makes one more move, and we'll pick up with this more tomorrow morning. Ki yesh dorem mala. There are those that are living in the upper worlds. V'yesh dorem mata. And there are those that are more centered in the lower worlds. Dahainu. Oilam ha'elyon va'oilam ha'tachton. There are people that are in the upper worlds, and there are people that are in the lower worlds. B'chinas shemayim va'aretz, which is the heaven and earth. V'tzarach ha'tzadik laharois. And it's up to the tzaddik, as we're going to learn. Those that are living in the upper world and those that are living in the lower world, there's going to be a message for each one of them. What do you think the message that you would give to somebody in the upper world would be?
Come down every once in a while.
And what do you think the message would be for a guy in the lower world?
Get up sometimes.
But what about that guy in the lower world? I want to meet him as a lower world guy. If I tell him, get up, go up, he's like, I'm a lower world guy. Don't mess with me, Rabbi. Let me just, I candy crush this thing.
It's like the way of the tzaddik does. He lowers himself to bring him to that, so that I'm 8 feet tall and the person's 5 feet tall. I bend down, so we're both 5 feet tall, and then when we go back up together.
Ask him, like, what do you think it's all about?
The Candy Crush, what do you mean? Top score!
No, like, and then ask him, like, yo, you think this is what it's all about? Like, is this why you think we're here to like play Candy Crush?
It's like Rabbi Nachman playing chess with the people. He would lower himself.
It's Doremata. He's coming down to speak to the people.
Play chess, a game or whatever, and then during the game he would say all the different things he would say to put the thoughts in their head to make them start thinking.
So he knew the relationship. So what would he say to the tzaddikim? What would he say to the Doremala people? They're all the way up there.
Right, that's the...
So we're going to see that tomorrow morning.
That's trickier. Like, it's easy, right? It's easier to tell, like... No.
These high spiritual people, what do you tell them? They're all the way up there. They're makifin.
Right.
They're always going to...
You can't tell them, like, yo, play like, GTA once in a while.
And he's like...
Right, like, yeah.
It's like, GTA?
Right.
It's like the story with the...
Be gone!
Right, like, you can't do... You can tell someone, like... But the other way, they can feel like it's easier, like...
You could call out a guy playing GTA easier than to call out a guy that what you're getting for now you're so high up. Yeah, what's it to you?
Right. What's wrong with you? Why not playing Xbox? Like, you can't.
And he's
be
like,
mad at
yeah, what's wrong with you that you're trying to peer pressure me to play
You
Xbox?
can't be mad at somebody for not like involving themselves in like shit. Yeah, it's like.
You have the story was I think the Dubno Magid with the Bill Nagon, where he would go like once a year and he would give him Musar and he would say, you learn all this Torah, you're up all the worlds, but if you could come down with the rest of the people and go out into all the markets or whatever.
Go be with the people. Well, and the Nachman's all about the people. Be with the people. So let's hear from some of the Chevri here. Some questions from our dear friends. I'm so happy that you're here. Seatown's finest peach. Wonderful to have you. So, Annoyed Canoe. First of all, I like that name because I happen to have gone on a lot of canoe trips in my day. I grew up in Canada, and if you heard of a place called Algonquin Park or Quetico, these are unbelievable. Ontario has amazing lakes, like lakes upon lakes upon lakes. So it struck a chord when you said canoe, that growing up and being able to canoe and portage and go from lake to lake. So I don't know if I was ever annoyed at my canoe, but it's difficult to canoe. It really requires a lot of forearm power. Also, like in your lats, you're really doing and to do a good J stroke is a mamish skill. It's really an art. So I see that you're asking about Xbox. What's the problem with Xbox? So let's begin with Xbox. Xbox is it's a video game. It's a console. That I don't know if I'll say the problem, because I want you to decide if you think Xbox is a problem. Xbox is offering you an opportunity to spend a tremendous amount of time getting really, really in to some person's idea of what you should be getting into. So if it's Grand Theft Auto, it's some person's idea that you should really, really be getting into spending time stealing cars, hanging out with people that are not your wife, which is not kosher. So why would I want to do that? No, Rabbi, it's just a game. Well, I don't know. People get pretty obsessed with their games, and therefore, if this person is taking his Xbox like seriously, I was with somebody today. They weren't on Xbox, but they're on a certain video game. It was a football one. Apparently, baseball. Is it called Baseball 9 or something? And I said, like, we're going to learn some Torah, And I felt to take away their phone, it was like doing like surgery. it was like I was amputating a limb. Say, no, Rabbi, the play anything but that. And I was like, no. So to take a video game that seriously, that it gets in the way of certain regular life. So that's what annoyed Canoe. I'm concerned with Xbox about. One time somebody told me that you need to play 6 to 7 hours of Fortnite a day because it's really good for hand-eye coordination. And he said he might want to become a pilot one day. So Rabbi, it's a mitzvah to play 6 to 7 hours of video games a day. I said, you're lying to yourself, brother. I said, you just want to play 6 to 7 hours of video games a day. I ask our friends, could you play 6 to 7 hours of video games a day? Do you think that's going to be a good thing? What are your thoughts?
Whether it's a good thing or not is different. Like, people definitely could. Like, people who play video games, like
I've done it when I was a kid.
people who play video games 6-7 hours is like not even like that much. Like
School day, like
Not even that much?
snow day, Rabbi. Snow day
Rabbi,
goes to school. That was literally what it was.
people who are into video games, it's like it seems like it's all day.
You're saying I'm so like from the 1980s?
Yeah,
And like when it was
6 to
just
7
like Tetris?
to
And nobody could play 6 to 7 hours of Tetris
But
School
a day.
is off at
But you're saying now that, what are the top games in the world right now?
like Call of Duty, Fortnite.
Call of Duty is, Fortnite's still up there?
people could play it for like
23, Mesiris Nefesh. Mesiris Nefesh. It's like, I can't sleep, I gotta put my feet in ice bucket, no dose, caffeine pills.
people could like it's free.
Stay days on end.
People
Yes.
could people do.
The average kid right now in America gets home from school, whatever, sits down, plays until 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and then goes.
Are these the numbers you guys have? Are a regular American kid? How many hours of video games a day are they playing? What do you guys say? How many hours a day of video games are they playing?
Right, the average is gonna be like 4. But that doesn't mean like that's the average.
How many hours of video games are they playing? And that will help us, Annoyed Canoe, to understand maybe the problem I have with Xbox is that it's taking our youth's creativity away. Now they're going to argue back to me. They're going to say, no, you get so good at video games, so that's itself creative. Well, what are you using the creativity for? Are you building a better world for humanity?
1.5 to 2.5 hours a day, but it varies by gender.
That's a lot of video games,
10 to
even
15
still.
10 to 15 hours a week is what they say.
That's a lot. That's a lot. There are some people I know that do a lot more than that.
Yeah.
That on the highball number, that these guys are playing video games.
Or some people it's their career. Like they just play and then they
Like Ninja? And get really good at it?
right and then
For every ninja, there's 5,000 million other people thinking they'll be ninja.
But everyone
no one's watching them.
But that's like
But they're doing Chazara and they're
This
practicing.
is like the new athlete. Like people
The
just
new
wanna,
athlete.
There's
Yeah.
college scholarships right now for esports.
people want to be like streamers.
College.
like you get a free ride if you're good enough at Call of Duty.
Why?
Play on the esports team.
The esports team?
College universities have esports teams now.
It's saying like, University of Kentucky, esport.
Number 7.
No, Villanova with the
Where's
number
your jersey?
7.
Number
23.
Jersey.
MG.
No. You can't have a jersey. That's.
I was going to go to Notre Dame for football, but instead I went to play football video games.
Mountain Dew in the Gatorade bottle.
Oh, he's also sponsored. Is this what everyone is experiencing? Is that there's that level of video game scholarship?
Claudia says video games are bad for your cognitive, as opposed to, and another person saying it also takes you out of the world. You leave the real world and you enter into.
So that's what concerns me the most. First of all, I don't know who the programmer is. He is programming a game that you are getting. You're putting your energy, you're putting your focus, you're putting your. Let's now be a bit, religious for a second. You're putting your soul into in a very full-on way. That soul is then getting wrapped up into this game, and that's pulling you into it. And you could have been doing so many things with your life. There's so much we could do with our life. So that concerns me a lot. As a person, people are getting pulled into this in a major way. So a question was mentioned about weapons. I could tell you this, my friend. Zanstra. The prophet Isaiah says that when Messiah comes, that all the weapons will be turned into plowshares. And therefore we sure hope that we're going to see more plowshares in the world. And that all the weapons will no longer need to be used because there's far too much suffering and pain in the world. And therefore, I think it would be highly advisable, if anybody's speaking about a weapon, for you to think to yourself, what is the quickest and easiest way that I could turn this into a plowshare? How can I 100% absolutely turn this into a way of really helping human beings?
What is a plowshare?
Plowshare is
It's like, imagine like a sickle kind of.
it's a form of, it's an agricultural tool that allows us to just have more food. That which is life-giving. It allows for more life-giving.
Oh, so that's like, because in the Rambam class, he also mentioned plowshare, and like every time I'm thinking to myself, like, why plowshare? Oh, now I understand.
To make food more efficient.
It's the opposite of a weapon.
Plowshares
right.
also use it to move the earth so that you can put the seed in.
That's right.
Oh, I see.
It's all about more life, whereas weapon is about,
As opposed to, right.
is the opposite of life.
Destruction, right.
That's why it's interesting on the Mizbeach. You don't use metal. Metal's connected to sword, which is connected to weapons. Also, and the Mizbeach, the altar, is a place that provides atonement, provides life. The Jewish nation is very much into life, being pro-life, helping life. That's our key message. Life. B'charta b'chaim. Choose life, my friends. To really be into life. We're all about life. Where do we see that also? Does anybody know what these are? To our chevra around the world, these are tzitzis. Tzitzis, my friends. Tzitzis are all about life. That's why you can't cut your tzitzis with metal scissors, because metal's connected to weapons. We use ceramic. Because tzitzis, which is something which gives life, should not be something which is connected to something that ends life.
There's special scissors?
Yeah, ceramic.
Really?
Yeah. Ceramic scissors. If you need a pair, I can hook you up. We have scissors.
Well, I gotta get the garment, and then I'll get the scissors, right?
Fine.
Gotta get the garment first.
You get the garment, get involved.
Gotta get that first.
Get some four-corner garment, then we'll get some tzitzis. We'll get some valas tzitzis. So I see some wonderful kiruv happening here of THISM. Come to yeshiva. I would absolutely agree with that statement, my friend. And I think much of the world, when they are starting to think about the purpose of the world, so it usually gets drowned out because they got a Call of Duty game that they have to play. Why not, when you start hearing that voice inside that says to you, what's the purpose of this world? Why are you here? Why not listen to that voice and come to yeshiva? In yeshiva, you can ask any question you want. There's a space to hear answers. But you should know, you have to be mature enough to listen to answers. Sometimes a person, they say, yeah, I'll listen to an answer if you can keep my attention for more than 2 seconds. Many people have a hard time keeping their attention for more than 2 seconds. When we're talking about real life answers, like what's the purpose of life? What happens to our soul after we leave this world? So that's probably going to take more than 2 seconds. And therefore, anybody wanting to come to yeshiva, come, but give yourself space. Give yourself 40 days. Come for 40 days to yeshiva.
Well, this one, should Gentiles keep the Torah?
Yes. The nations of the world, whom we love, have an obligation to keep the 7 Noahide laws. And I would suggest everybody do a little search, look up the 7 Noahide laws. The 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, because this is so fundamentally important for you, is to realize that God gave you a Torah and wants you to grow. And yes, all the nations of the world have a role and a place in the world to come, as long as they're connecting themselves to the one God. Thank you so much for the question. So this is an interesting name from our friend, the biggest complainer. So I'm not Jewish, but Jewish culture is amazing and kind. Despite my name, I'm not always complaining. So, first of all, my friend, so nice of you to share words with us. And I'm so happy that you feel connected to the Jewish people, the Jewish mission. I hope by you saying that you're connected to the Jews, that it's more, you mentioned 2 points, it's more than just the culture, which means for a person to say, like Lux and cream cheese is like, who would have thought of that? That's great. And those furry hats are kind of interesting that the Chassidim wear. I like the second thing that you mentioned, which is kind, is that yes, that the Jewish nation, in our core of who we are all about kindness. And if you ever want to visit Jerusalem, it would be so nice to meet. And you're welcome. The Eish Torah World Center is a place for the world to come, to book a ticket, to come and visit. And I think right now the world has not been meeting the core of who the Jewish nation is and the core Jewish message for the world. So I'd love for you to come in person to learn. Because like we mentioned, that answers are more than just 2 seconds. Or somebody makes some TikTok clip in 10 seconds or less, and they somehow think they summed up the entire Jewish people. I would say much more mature than that would be come and really hear firsthand, long format. Let's speak things out. So thank you so much for the question, my friend.
Opinions on the word goyim.
The word goyim actually means nations. The Jewish people are also called goy kadosh, mamleches kohanim v'goy kadosh. The word literally means a nation. This that apparently has been used in not a respectful way is horrible, is terrible, and I think it should be removed from people's vocabulary if they're not using it in a respectful way. If it doesn't just mean to them a nation, I think it should be removed from the vocabulary. And that's why I don't like to use it, because I don't think it's respectful. Even though the etymology of the word literally just means a nation, but I think we should remove it from our vernacular. I just think it's become very used in a not healthy way. I think it should be totally removed. It's inappropriate. Thank you for the question, my friend.
How do you feel about the Talmud?
I love the Talmud. The Talmud is the same Talmud that we have, that was passed from Mount Sinai down through the generations. You know who else loved the Talmud? Isaiah.
Why don't you show them that big
Okay, here. Oh, thank you. This is one of the books of the Talmud. This happens to be Brachas. This is actually the first edition of the Talmud. This is first edition, meaning the first in the order of the different Talmudic works. This, by the way, that's not thin. That may take you some time to go through. Some of the letters are kind of small. Okay, this is a page. By the way, this is just the commentaries on the Talmud. This is a classic page of Talmud. It could take a person years to go through one book, we call it tractate, because these are deep conversations that have tremendous complexity and depth that we've been speaking about for thousands of years, my friends. Thousands of years. If you want to really understand Talmud, also you have to understand who are the people that are the greats of Talmud. You have to meet them. Really go and meet our great Rosh Hashiva, Rav Berkowitz. Go and see people that are masters of the Talmud, the kind of human beings that they are. Not somebody that just says, I learned some Talmud. I mean, go see the people that are really, it's called Mole v'Godesh, Toichai Kabara, filled with the light of the Talmud, and see the kind of people that they are, and the kind of love that they have, and the kind of not only scholarship, but the love that they have for human beings, and the sweetness and the kindness. And I think that would take you much more than just a 3-second TikTok video to figure out. And therefore, if anybody here is interested in the Talmud, I highly suggest come for 40 days. Come learn. Come speak. Come share with us. And I welcome our friends all over the world. And it would be nice for you to share where you're learning with us from today, which country you're in. Now that X opened up its location, so everybody, oh, I guess you're over there. Oh, it's interesting, you're over there. It's so funny. You got a count that was, it's amazing how Elon Musk pushes one button and all of a sudden everyone's like, uh-oh. Why is that? Why did it say, oh, are you hiding something? You have to realize the Torah is all about being honest, straightforward. Very, very important to share for real. If a person is honest and straight, they have nothing to hide, my friends. They have nothing to hide. They have nothing to hide. I see a point about America first. Yes, that is a wonderful thing. A person living in the States, being able to live by the Constitution, the wonderful, the great country of America that Moshe Feinstein called Medina Chesed, the country of kindness that's been so good. America is an amazing, amazing place. A tremendous love. That America is a place of blessing, of goodness. I would say the ultimate ideal that we should be striving for is humanity first. Is all humanity. That all of us can unify together. And that yes, you could have different geographical countries that you come from, but there's a deeper story here that we want to unify, which is the story of humanity, of team humanity, of all of us growing together. So Librarian Tom is saying, yes, it's not always easy to do that, my friend. Thank you, Librarian Tom. Is that, however, Tom, you should know that your name, Tom, really comes from the word Tam, Yaakov Ish Tam, Yoshev Ohalim, which means purity, which means goodness. And therefore, Librarian Tom, if we can get to that place of tamimus, of purity, of goodness, of seeing each other in the soul place, I think we'll be able to unify much more than we have been. And that's our goal. Absolute unity for all humanity.
What do you think about Ezekiel 37? That's the dry bones.
Oh, Ezekiel 37. So do we have a Tanakh here? So if you're speaking about the dry bones, then we're talking about the resurrection. So the dry bones is the idea that even though a person felt that things happened in his life and he feels like he dried up, after playing 23 hours straight of Call of Duty, you feel like you're like drying up. Any more Dorito chips anywhere, brother? I'm like, no, dude. Oh no, I'm all dried up. Even if a person feels like he's dried up in his life, you have to know that great days are coming where those bones will become moist once again and new life will be infused into you, my friend. And you should know that that's the resurrection, is that if you feel that you were dead spiritually, that you can come back to life. You can always come back to life. The dry bones are filled with so much hope that there will be a time of rebirth. There will be a resurrection. There will be a continuation. But I highly recommend that you should spend time now going towards that which will make your bones moist. And that which will make your bones moist, I'm not just referring to trying to take, collagen through your food supplements, but I mean going to that which is called water. And ein mayim ala Torah. The real water in the world is called the Torah. The more that you learn Torah, you start feeling your soul fill up again, like it's like juicy. I don't mean juice like those guys in Gold's Gym that are juicing, bro. Yeah, you juice, bro? You juicing? What do you mean, juice? I was one time at a certain place, I wanted to get one of these shaker bottles, and because it's good to put some, organic protein stuff in there. So I was getting a shaker bottle. Now, usually notice that the guys that work in these shops are like, you know what I'm saying. Otherwise, you don't get a job in the shop. If you're like a weakling, they don't want to get you in the muscle man shop. So I was in one of these shops, actually with another Rabbi Moshe Chaim Proctor, and Shlita. And there was a guy in the shop that was big. I mean, everyone there was big. And then there was a guy that was like big, like really big. So in the shop, like the first thing is like, so like which one of these supplements are you doing? So you don't usually ask the little guy. You say to the big guy, like, it's like, yo, which one are you taking? So he's like, juice, bro, needles. You don't get this on the shelves here, brother. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna back up right now. I just, no, thank you. So when we talk about juice, we're not talking about that juice.
Not today.
We're not talking about that juice. We're talking about the moisture of the Torah. Mayim Chaim. Ein mayim ala Torah. Tzomalacha nafshi. That in the end of days we're going to be very thirsty, but the thirst is not going to be for water. And the hunger is not going to be for bread. Ki im lishmoya is divrei Hashem. The world is going to be thirsty to hear the words of God once again. And I feel, like Menachem is always teaching us, that Bible sales are up significantly in the United States of America.
35% year-over-year.
35%, Rabbi Isai. Get involved. Get involved. Get yourself a Bible. Start learning. We can always make more. The best-selling book of all time. Get involved, my friends. I see that Elite is asking a question, believing in the Messiah, Yoshua. So, Yoshua was a prophet. Yoshua is the greatest student of Moshe Rabbeinu. Yoshua is not considered the Messiah. Yoshua is considered one of the greatest prophets that we had, the book of Joshua. But his Rebbe, Moshe Rabbeinu, is the soul of the Mashiach, and that's what is referred to, Mashahaya Hu Shiyeh, what was, just like Moses was the Redeemer, he will once again be the Redeemer. But I would suggest to learn the book of Joshua, Yoshua. It is an excellent sefer to learn. It's filled with holy content, and I think that would make your life much better to learn the book of Yoshua. Thank you so much for the question.
Someone wants to know if the rabbi ever read Isaiah 53.
I love Isaiah 53. We had a number of classes on Isaiah 53. I would suggest look them up. They're on the YouTube there. And we go in depth into Isaiah 53. But I must tell you, my friend, in order to understand Isaiah 53, you have to first learn Isaiah 52. Because Isaiah 53 is a pericope. It's an entire statement which begins earlier in Isaiah 52. And if you start with Isaiah 52, then you can understand who is speaking. And it's the nations of the world, the kings of the world that is speaking. Thank you very much for the question. Yoshua ben Yosef. We're speaking about Yoshua ben Nun, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you, Crystal Webb, all the wonderful, nice points. GGN. What's this year according to Jewish law? This is Tav Shin Pei Vav. 5786. 5786, we're essentially moving very close to the year 6000. The year 6000 is the end of the world now as we know it. And then we will transition from that into 1,000 years of Shabbos. And then there will be in the year 7000 the great resurrection. And that will then take us into the world to come. So get ready, Rabbi Isai.
Someone wants to know, are you forced to be Jewish?
No, I was born Jewish. A person that has a Jewish mother is forced, meaning they are forced because they're born to a Jewish mother. But a person, when they're bar mitzvah, essentially what they have to do is that they are now choosing it themselves. And therefore, we are talking about that when you are born, if you're born a Jew, then you're a Jew. But at the age of 13, and for a girl the age of 12, she is now, or he is owning that and really taking responsibility for their own life. And really the idea of being a Jew is never forced, because it all came from us choosing God at Mount Sinai and saying, Nasiv and Nishma, we want this. We reestablished our covenant with God and said, we want this. And really was established again during the Purim story. During the Purim story, where we said, we want this. Thank you from our friends in Saudi Arabia. So wonderful to have you here. Thank you for sharing and learning with us today.
Michelle wants to know, what are your thoughts on Christians who try to follow the Torah?
It's wonderful. You have 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, the 7 Noahides. Very, very important. That one of the Noahides is not to have any idols. And therefore, run away from idols. Make that your business to know that I talk to God and God alone. God is the destination for everything that you need in this world. The one and only God. We believe in righteous people, and there have been many righteous over the generations, and you could seek advice from them, but go to God. No human being could be God, and all salvation will only come from God. Thank you so much for the question. So yes, look up the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. Learn Torah. Read the Torah. Learn about the unity of God.
Oh, this is a good one. Do you think the third temple needs to be rebuilt before the Messiah comes?
So that's a famous question, is that it seems to be there's 2 ways of seeing it, either before or it will come afterwards. Rashi implies that it's going to come down miraculously, spiritually. There's also opinions that it's going to be built through our hands. I think the idea is this, is that what is the third temple all about? The third temple is very straightforward. The prophet says it clear. Ki beisi beis tefillah yikar lekol ha'amin. For my house will be a house of prayer for all the nations. Which means this will be a place of unity for all humanity to be together, to grow together, to learn together, to love each other, to help each other. So I think that what's going to happen is going to be so much unity. There's going to be so much goodness filling the world that we're all going to, and this is a hard thing to imagine, we're going to cooperate. Could you imagine such a thing? Humanity is going to cooperate together and saying, for way too many years, we've been focusing on what we have different. Why don't we start focusing on what we have in common, which is we all come from the one God. There'll be so much cooperation that we'll be building it together. It will be as if it came down from heaven. Thank you so much for the wonderful question.
Why do Jews circumcise?
Bris Milah, circumcision, is a covenant. So let me give you an example. In the olden days, they used to make covenants. Kings would make covenants. They would be blood brothers. They would cut. We don't suggest to do this. And then they would mix their blood together. Don't do that. They would put a drop of each other's blood in a cup and then drink it. Or you had a kingdom in the east and a kingdom in the west, and the kingdom in the east had a daughter, and the kingdom in the west had a prince, and they would marry each other, and that was a symbol that they would unify their kingdom, right? A bris means a covenant. So there's always 2 sides, and each side is giving something, and you're creating something greater. And there's always a symbol of the bris. So I like to give an example. Let's say a person was working for the president. So the president has secretaries, has ministers. Now what does the minister wear on his lapel? Seal of the president. And that symbol represents that I come in the name of the president. How did I get that pin? Because I've showed loyalty to the president, that I'm coming in his name. A person who shows loyalty to the president, so the president says, I'll put the weight of my office behind you to support you. Which means if some minister was in some far-flung place and somebody messes around with the secretary and makes a problem and captures him, is that a slight only on the secretary, or is it also a slight on the president? What do you say, my friends? Is it a slight on the secretary or also on the president himself? So the answer is, it's a slight on the president himself. Because this person has made a pact, has made a covenant with me. He's made a covenant. But what happens if, God forbid, the secretary takes this pin and somebody videos him throwing it on the ground and stepping on it and spitting on it, God forbid? So does the president still come to the guy's aid? No, because you now took away your loyalty to the covenant. Why is it so severe to burn a flag? Why is it such a felony? I'm saying if you're a scientist and you looked at this, flag burning is horrible. It's horrible. If you looked at from a scientific perspective, what's the guy doing? He's burning some polyester.
It's symbolic.
It's symbolic. It's what it represents.
Divisions.
It's that you're rebelling. You're rebelling against this concept. You're rebelling against a passport. You ever opened up your passport? What does it say in the beginning of the passport? Please let anybody, let this person freely pass without making problems for them. Signed, the president. But what if a person, and therefore something bad, God forbid, happens to a person in a certain place? It's really a slight to the entire country that he comes from. But what if a person takes his passport, God forbid, and burns it? He's really taking the symbol of the covenant and he's saying, I'm withdrawing from the covenant, and then the other side will withdraw protection from him. So this is all to answer what is a bris milah. A bris milah is a sign between us and God. Is that if we do our responsibilities, then God says, I will protect you, I will take care of you, I'll make sure you have blessing and goodness. But if God forbid a person takes that area and he abuses it, so it's like taking the pin and throwing it on the ground, taking the flag and doing something because it's symbolic. And therefore one of the most important points, and this is not only for Jews, this is for the entire world, is that the powers of sexual purity are essential. One of the 7 Noahides is to be careful and to guard that area, to have marital fidelity and to be loyal. And therefore, that's really the inner meaning of a bris, is it's a covenant, there's a symbol behind it, and therefore the idea that if a person leaves their part of the covenant, it takes away protection, or if he maintains the covenant, then it affords him protection, and therefore exceptionally important for a person to be aware that they have to be very careful. This is one of the most important key messages that we have to the world. Just open up the Torah. Look at all the horrible things that happen when a person's not careful with that area. And therefore, if anybody is struggling in that area, seek help. Seek help this second. Do something to seek help this second, that you could remain pure in that area. Very, very important. This is essential teachings. Maybe one more question from our dear friends. Traveling through, a very nice thought. A Christian, but the true God is the God of Israel, and that Jesus is not God. So I think that's very, very important what you're mentioning, because a human being cannot be God. A human being is finite. God is the infinite. So I think that's a very mature point that you're making, and I really appreciate you making that point. And when we say the God of Israel, we just mean God. There's only one God, my friends. There's only one, and we're all in this together. The Jewish nation was entrusted since time immemorial to be able to be a light to the nations, to share about God, and to help teach humanity. and therefore we're all unifying under God. That's what this is all about. There's only one, and we're all in this together. And I really, really hope that we could, as you beautifully said, we could find common ground, places that we are unified, because I think that will unify so much more. So much when you get, you watch a debate or something, so the person debating with the other person will so rarely ever acquiesce to a good point that the other person made. They'll just pounce on how much I disagree with you. Why don't you focus on, you know what? We agree on 37 things. There's 2 things that we disagree on. Wouldn't that be a much wiser way of unifying human beings? It's okay for us to disagree on a couple of things, and we can talk that out. But I think we will understand what we disagree on better once we know that there's 35 things that we agree on. Everyone have a wonderful day. We're picking up in 30 seconds in the next class.